upset and disappointed because stuff ain't going your way. But if we have expectations of God that do not align with His will, it's not going to happen. People can't tell you about God better than the Bible could tell you about God. You start to see that what they saying don't line up with the words. So then you looking at them like, where you get that from? And it really can disrupt our faith walk. It really can disrupt the faith that we have in Him. Have you subscribed? Let me know. Do I have wrong intentions? Do I not understand? Are you working on it? Let me know. Welcome to Worthy Soul. And if this is not your first time, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. And for those of you that this is your first time, I hope that you come back. My name is Danya Lane. And you know, y'all, one thing that I've learned, one thing that I understand is that as a follower, believer of Jesus Christ, and He your Lord and Savior, one thing that I've learned is that sometimes we have these expectations of God, or sometimes we expect God to do things, or maybe He let us know this is what He's going to do. But then we get disappointed when He doesn't do it the way that we expected Him to do, or the way that we think that He should do it. And it really can disrupt our faith walk. It really can disrupt the faith that we have in Him. And it's so important that we don't do that. We don't let it disrupt that, which means that we have to do a couple things on our part to ensure that, A, we aren't disappointed because we don't understand what He's doing. Because sometimes that's what it is. It's not that He's not doing what He said He was going to do. It's just that we don't know what He said He was going to do or how He was going to do it. So then, like I said, we lose faith and we feel like, Lord, I'm not calling you a liar, Lord, but all I'm saying is this ain't what I expected. This ain't it. This not looking like what you said you was going to do. And He be like, it is. I'm doing it the way that I want to do it, not the way that you want me to do it. And so just a couple of things that we can do, I believe, that we can do to set ourselves up with the right expectations so that we can see God move, so that we can recognize what He's doing and recognize that He's doing what He said He was going to do. And He's doing it the way that He said He was going to, which is reading the Word, His Word, the Bible, so that we can be able to identify what His true intent is for us. So that when He tells us He's going to do something for us, we know what He's talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have expectations that we just made up in our head, or expectations that somebody else placed on Him and gave to us, and we just accept it as His intent. And sometimes it don't be. It be something else that they figured out on their own. And then, like I said, that puts us in a position to where now we looking at God like, everybody keeps saying that you do what you say you gonna do, but it don't look like you doing what you say you gonna do. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So we got to make sure that we read our Word, so that for one, we can learn God for ourselves. And we can read and identify what His intents are, and how He does things, and how He operates, and what His intentions are. But also, when we read His Word, we're able to learn what His will is and His ways, which will help us to gain understanding and insight into what He's doing when He do it, into what we may not be doing, and could be preventing Him from doing what He said He gonna do. Like, I've learned that is the most important thing, because a lot of times, you know, nowadays there's a lot of people saying a lot of things, but when you read your Word, you start to see that what they saying don't line up with the Word. So then you looking at them like, where you get that from? Why you think that? Like, what made you believe that? Like, where did that come from? Because when I read the Word, it ain't even nothing. The Lord ain't even. He don't even work that way. He's not even about that. He ain't even mentioned nothing like that. Or what they said was taken out of context. For many reasons. Sometimes it's because they don't read the Word. And like I said, they got it from somebody else. And they didn't fact check it with the Word. Or they read the word and they just trying to twist it and turn it for the benefit of what they want to happen or what they want to say to people. So that's why it's truly, 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 truly so important. The most important thing is to read the Bible, read the word, learn about God for yourself. Learn about God for yourself through reading his word. Because people can't tell you about God better than the Bible could tell you about God. And when you read the Bible, guess what? That gives you time for God to speak more to you, for him to help you connect dots, for him to bring the understandings that you need, and possibly the convictions that you may need on certain topics. Because maybe other people ain't supposed to convict you. That's why you ain't been convicted by what they've been saying. But when you read the word and you understand and you start to see like, okay, and then you start questioning God while you reading the word and you're like, Lord, but what does it mean? How does it apply to my life? And you take time and you're intentional about doing that. Y'all. For one, it'll be a whole lot less people that will be able to confuse you with what they talk about. Because sometimes when they talk about be completely out of God's will, and then you be like, oh yeah, got you thinking that you're doing something right, and the whole time you ain't nowhere near what God needs you to be. You know what I mean? You're nowhere near his will. And yes, he got grace and mercy, so he gonna understand that, like, you just off track because you listening to the wrong people. But he do expect you to get back on track so that he could bless you, so that he can not only bless you, but so that you can bless his name, so that you can bring glory to his name, and so that you can live out his true intents for the world, so that you don't get confused and you don't lose faith in him because what you believe he said he gonna do, he ain't doing it, or he ain't doing it the way that you want him to, and the whole time it's just because it's wrong. Like you looking for the wrong things, you expecting the wrong things, and you wanting the wrong things from him. Because he like, I don't even operate that way. But you talk about, that's not even what I'm about. That's not, this ain't about you. This is about me. That's him when he said that. I'm not saying he's saying this ain't about us. This about him. So that's why we need to get in our word so that we can learn what he about, so that we can learn his true intention and will for his people. What is that? So like I said, when we are looking for him to move in our life, when we are looking for him to do certain things that he may have told us he was going to do or that we learned about him, we have the right understanding and right expectation of that. And also through reading his word, guess what that does? Not only do we learn his word, but it puts us in a position to depend more on him than on people. Because guess what? We're going to run to his word first before we run to people. Or if we do run to people first, guess what? We always gonna run back to his word to fact check it, to make sure it line up, make sure it makes sense, and make sure that, guess what? These expectations that I now have of you, Lord, I know that they're appropriate. And I know that they will be fulfilled because they align with what your will is. But if we have expectations of God that do not align with his will, it's not gonna happen. It is not gonna happen the way that we think it should. Because it's not in his will. So he's not gonna do nothing to appease us because that's what we want. Like, he don't just do what we want him to do because we want it. Like, that's not how he works, unfortunately. He got expectations. He got a will. And that's what he's going to fulfill. That's what he's about, is fulfilling his will. So if we want something and it don't align with his will for his people or for us specifically, all I'm saying is you may get it, but it ain't from him. And if it ain't from him, then it's something that you orchestrated, or it's something that, the devil orchestrated. Boy, oh boy, what it's going to do to have to keep it, to maintain it, to enjoy it, to have peace with it. You're not going to have peace with it, first off. So let me rewind. You're not going to have peace with it. You're not going to have peace with it the way that you think you should. It's going to be trouble. Eventually, it may not be trouble in the beginning, but eventually it's going to be trouble. So it's going to be a heartache. It's going to be, you know what I mean? It's going to cause difficulty. So we just want to make sure that we learn about God and his will for ourselves, so that we know what is required of us. And not only will we learn what's required of us, but guess what? We'll also be able to tune other people out we'll be able to tune out their expectations, silence them in their expectations so that they don't impact us. Because guess what? If I know God's will and I know his word and I understand it and I know what he's talking about, other people are not going to be able to criticize me inappropriately. Inappropriately. Like they're not going to be able or criticize me for nothing. Because I'm not aligning with what they want. And when they do, guess what? It's not even going to bother us. Because we're going to be like, bro, we're going to be like, look, I don't even know what you talk about. Like, you upset and disappointed for the wrong reasons, because you ain't upset and disappointed because God's will ain't happening. You upset and disappointed because stuff ain't going your way. And I ain't worried about it going your way. I'm worried about it going his way. And so guess what? Those people are no longer going to be able to make you feel bad. They're no longer going to be able to confuse you. They're no longer going to be able to do any of those things. You're just going to be able to brush it off and just tune them out, because you're going to already know, like, you tripping. Because what you talking about don't even align with his will. So I already know, like, the reasons you upset, they ain't my concern. They ain't my concern because they ain't his concern. But we can only be able to do that through reading his word. You know? If you don't do nothing else, read his word, gain understanding. But when you read his word to gain understanding, you learn a lot of other things that it is necessary. So then you learn, maybe it is important for me to get into a church, a good church, a church that's going to teach me the word and not just make me feel better. A church that is going to help guide me the right way and not turn me into something that the Lord didn't even talk about. So then guess what? After you've been reading your word, you know a little bit, you know enough. When you go into that church to find a church, you're going to be able to fact check what they talk about. And you're going to be like, oh, no, this ain't the church for me because I don't even know what y'all on. Like, this is a show. This ain't church. This is a show. And this show going to get me in trouble with the Lord. So I don't even need to be here. But it's going to be one that you find that's like, okay, yeah, y'all doing the Lord's work. Y'all own what he said to be on. But you only know that if you read his word. You build a relationship with him for yourself. Like, that's why it is so important. So that, guess what? Like I said, when he do stuff for you or you're looking for him to move, guess what? You in relationship with him. So now you already could be like, okay, Lord, even if you didn't read your word at that moment, it's in your heart. You know enough of it to be like, okay, Lord, I don't think that's what that said. And if you realize, maybe I'm a little confused, let me go back and read some more. But do your work. Do your work so that when God is doing his work, you're able to recognize it and you're not disappointed in what he's doing. Because you know that what he's doing is what he said he will do. And it's in his will and aligns with his will. And it's in order with what he already said and what his expectations are and what his intent is for his people. We have to make sure that we do that. Like I said, so that we are dependent on God and not people. And then also, guess what? We know what people to depend on. When we're trying to find out a little bit more, when we need a little counsel, we know that we'll be able to allow the appropriate people to counsel us and not have people miscounseling us and misguiding us. And guess what? Putting us 10 steps back. And now we got to be like, Lord, I done lost a little time because I was listening to the wrong people because I didn't truly know what your word was saying or what your will is. And then I got disappointed in you. And sometimes, that draws us away from God. And then we be so far away and then went another route. And when it's time to come back, we be like, man, I got so much work to do. And we just pray that what we did when we was away did not disrupt what we trying to get out with God. It don't put us in a position to where it's like, woof, I was this close, now I'm this close. I done made a couple of violations that have really impacted my life negatively. That's what we don't want to do. But if we don't know God's word and his will, we're going to be confused, we're going to be disappointed, and we're going to lose faith in him. And we're going to start feeling some type of ways about him that's not even appropriate. That's not even the truth. That's not even based on the truth. So we just want to make sure that we take time to read the word, to learn what God is talking about, and to understand what we need to do so that we can fulfill that, so that we can have the understanding we need that aligns us with what he's talking about, that aligns us with his intent, his will, and his ways. And like I said, so that we can find appropriate people to be with, appropriate church to be around, appropriate friends to speak into our lives, people to help us, friendships to help us, all that stuff that we need in this lifetime. We want to make sure that it's the right church, the right people, the right understandings that is speaking into our life, and we're able to do the same for them. Because we don't want to mislead nobody either. We don't want to do that. We want to be, we're accountable for what we do, and we want to hold ourselves accountable for what we do, because God is too. And we want to be able to say, okay, Lord, I'm doing my best. I am trying my best. My intentions are to do this correctly and not misguide and mislead and manipulate. None of those things. Because all those things can be done to people that don't know no better. And I don't want to do that to people, and I don't want nobody to be able to do that to me. Not at all. So we want to make sure that we pay attention and get it together. And have you subscribed? Let me know. Do I have wrong intentions? Do I not understand? Are you working on it? Let me know. And if you have subscribed, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure that you like, share, follow on other social medias. And what are some things that you do to make sure that you understand and you can be able to see what God is doing and understand that He's doing His will in your life? What are some things that you do? Do you read the Bible? Do you pray? Do you spend quiet time with Him? Do you go to church? Do you have a good church? How did you identify a good church? How did you identify good counsel and good and healthy people to be in your life, speak into your life, and be on this journey, this faith walk with you? Let me know. And until next time, enjoy your time.